I know it's very far. It took me a long time to get here too. But there's a special reason why we're here. But before that, a special welcome to my fellow grassroots advisors, Ms. Bodhi-san and Ms. Cassandra Lee, as well as our many union friends who are here today with us to celebrate. I know many people here came very early to set up. I want to thank the crew too first. The camera crew especially, I think, came quite early to set up. Some of them live in the east, so for them it's a bit like, you know, the journey to the west quite literally. But let me explain why we're here. I asked for the event to be here and to celebrate it today because this is where LTA is testing the first batch of our cross-island line train. And you're going to see them. Earlier this year, I went to preview the trains in China, in Qingdao, at the CRRC facility. And when I posted my picture of the train online, it was my highest grossing post for a long time. Surprisingly, so a lot of people are interested in the train. So make sure you get a good photo of the train later and put it on your social media because a lot of people are very excited about the cross-island line. So I'm very excited for you to be able to see them through during the tour later. Second, we are also building a new cross-island line western depot going to be connected to this very facility, and therefore it's fitting that we're doing the update on the cross-island line right here. And I have a really good update for you. So last July, we had the cross-island line Phase 2 groundbreaking ceremony. I think that was one of my first events as a minister, if I remember. Because I remember that event very fondly. I'll explain why. During that groundbreaking ceremony, I said that we'll share our plans for Phase 3, where the studies on the station locations were complete. Today, I'm very glad to be sharing good news with you. As I said, the cross-island line is special to me. It holds special memories for me. When I was in the Ministry of Transport as a senior civil servant more than a decade ago, actually we had many rounds of discussions to make the cross-island line a reality. I see a lot of nodding heads from our LTA colleagues because they worked with me as part of the team. Because it was a difficult endeavor. We had to build the cross-island line across the Central Catchment Nature Reserve. And those conversations with stakeholders, with nature groups, were not easy. But the MOT, the LTA, nature groups, and experts all worked together as one team, and we arrived at an outcome that I think today we can all be proud of. The cross-island line will be Singapore's 8th MRT line. And it will be the longest underground line that we have ever built, spanning 67 kilometers from Changi Terminal 5 in the east to Gao Circle in the west, including the Punggol extension for those who stay in Punggol. I don't think they're here today, but never mind, mention them anyway, Punggol. And as you can imagine, building an MRT line across the whole length of Singapore is no easy feat. Above ground, there are many competing users for land and many stakeholders to manage. Underground, there are no physical people, maybe, but LTA has to navigate increasingly complex and crowded conditions. Immovable boulders, abandoned piles, construction detritus left behind by some earlier projects. And whenever this happens, even though we have big, powerful tunnel boring machines, these machines have to come to a halt and workers have to go in and manually extricate and clear the obstruction. Very difficult, painstaking work. A unique feature of this cross-island line is the depth of the tunneling that we are doing. And we are doing it under the Central Catchment Nature Reserve to avoid the biodiversity, disturbing it and avoid disturbing the ecosystem. LTA is tunneling over 80 meters underground. 80 meters. That's roughly the height of a 25-story HDB block. 25 stories. And at this depth, every part of the work becomes much more harder, much more dangerous, carried out in much more confined and highly compressed conditions. But even with all these difficulties, I'm glad to say LTA has so far kept the project on track. In 2023, we began construction on Phase 1 of the Cross Island Line from Aviation Park to Bright Hill and from Pasir Ris to Punggol. Last year, construction started on Phase 2, which will add 6 stations from Perth City to the Jurong Lake District. Today, I'm happy to unveil the plans for Phase 3, final stage of the Cross Island Line. Phase 3 comprises 4 new stations, 2 of which will be interchanges, one connecting to the upcoming Jurong Region Line and the other connecting to the existing East-West Line, the Gulf Circle. I'm told I'm not allowed to say the names of the stations. No names yet. Nowadays, we don't put the names out because people get unhappy if I change the names later. But at least one, I think, should be called Gulf Circle. I think that's fair, right? Yeah, we should be using that name, right? Okay, right, at least one station will be called Gulf Circle. These stations will serve residents in Taman Jurong. Some of the grassroots leaders are here. Yeah, I see them waving, very happy. And workers across our western industrial estates, and substantially improve the connectivity to the rest of the island. And once the full Cross Island Line is open, commuters travelling to and fro from the western parts of Singapore can save up to 50 minutes in travelling time, 50. But the Cross Island Line plays a much more critical role in our MRT network. It connects with all of our existing MRT lines. 11 of its 26 stations will be interchanges. And that's very, very important because it will significantly strengthen the resilience of our entire MRT network. Because during a service disruption, it means more commuters will have alternative routes to get where they want to go without having to leave the MRT network. So that is very important. Of course, for this area, the FAST region, the transport connectivity will also be improved. Today, the transport connectivity of the FAST area mainly depends on the existing East-West Line. Some of us will remember when Boon Lay was the most westernmost station of the East-West Line. Not too long ago, I think my generation will remember, always, and you see the end of the line, it says Boon Lay. Actually, from Boon Lay, it takes you another 30 minutes to reach the industrial estates here in Tuas South.